Sunny is going to speak to us about short-term trading with Sunny Bands. She's a full-time trader, 42 years, and frequent contributor to trading magazines and speaker at trading webinars and seminars. And she's also published the Trader's Catalog and Resource Guide magazine for 8 years, beginning in 1993. She sponsors the Money Mentor on the internet since 95, and she's rated #1 trader in the under $10 million category for 2 years in a row. Achieving 365% profit and 178% profit in those 2 years. Her first book is called Trading 101, How to Trade Like a Pro. It sold out in the first 2 weeks, and it continues to be a financial bestseller. Her second book is Trading 102, Getting Down to Business. It was released in October 1998, and it also achieved record sales. In early 2000, she released Electronic Day Trading 101, which was addressing the basics of trading online and through direct access brokeraging. And she followed it up with Getting Started in Trading in 2001 and TradeStation Made Easy in 2011, which won first place in the prestigious Star Awards. And Sunny's now writing her 7th book, The Complete Guide to TradeStation's Easy Language and OOEL, due out in 2023. So I hope you guys, you know, one of the things that happened was that since she's been day trading, or since she's been trading since 1981, she tested and researched every technical analysis technique and indicator to find something that worked, and none did to her satisfaction. So she created her own dynamic moving average and Sunny Bands. So she's going to be telling you exactly how they work and how she uses them in her own trading. Welcome, Sunny. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Sherry.
We appreciate you coming in.
How do I share my screen?
All right. So I think I just gave you the capability. It should have opened it up there. There we go. Short-term trading with Sunny Bands. Yes, ma'am.
Which one? Which monitor? I'm going to go to monitor.
I've got exclusive Wednesday, March 22nd. It was there. Now we can see your slide show. It's not in presentation mode though now.
Okay. Which monitor is this then? I've got 5 monitors here. I'm not sure which one.
That does make life interesting, doesn't it?
How about that one?
Nope. You want to go back to the one that you had at the very beginning.
That one?
There you go. Perfect.
All right. Fantastic. Thanks for your help.
Thanks for coming.
I ask you later, that's monitor 2.
Monitor 2. Okay, I'll keep a track of that.
Thank you.
Take it away.
All right, we're going to talk about short-term trading with Sunny Bands, my flagship indicator here today, and we'll look at the current market and look at past markets and other things to compare. My passion is in helping traders of all kinds. So this talk is for traders who have not yet become wildly successful and want to, people who've not traded much and want to learn, or folks who want to improve their trading results. So it's really for beginners and intermediates of both types. I have a lot of people who call me and say they're digging themselves into a hole. How can I help? And I love to help these people. The disclaimer is past performance is not a predictor of future results. All investing and trading involves risk of loss, and don't trade with any money you can't afford to lose, because you can lose some or all of it. Never risk more than you can afford to lose. I have a full disclaimer on my website, and I will post these slides to moneymentor.com, and you can see the full disclosures and details, because you'll be able to click on these links when it gets to the website. This talk is for educational purposes only. Now here's the full disclaimer. A lot of people start their investing and trading portfolios by choosing stocks. But how do you know how to pick the right stocks? because there's 6,500 of them to choose from. How do you know how to pick one that's going to make money for you today? So I'm going to use my proprietary indicators for this talk, and you'll see how I do it. I'll teach you how I use Sunny Bands to trade futures, stocks, and crypto for my own account in all kinds of markets. I am a professional trader. Oh, this is an old slide. Look, it says almost 42 years. I've been trading over 42 years now. I trade futures, stocks, and crypto, but I don't trade options. I found out early on that options are risky, and I was real good at losing my whole $2,000 that I put up each time. So I don't trade options. But I'm going to tell you about myself, but first I'm going to show you how I trade. This is my main chart, and this is this morning. It's been going down since then, but this is what I look at. So we've got on the top of this chart, well, I color my bars differently for night and day. So the blue and magenta bars are the night session, and the red and green ones are the day session. So that makes it really easy for me to know what's going on. And around these bars, you can see my sunny bands. There's a top band that's green and a bottom band that's green. These are the outer bands, and the inner bands are teal kind of color, inner bands. And then in the middle, you can see my dynamic moving average, which is a gold line and a purple line. And this is a very special moving average. I'll tell you more about it in a little bit. In the middle down here, we see gold and red bars showing me that the gold line of the dynamic moving average is on top. I'm going to call it DMA, dynamic moving average. So this shows me that the gold line's on top, which is overall bullish. And when the purple and green lines are on the bottom, it shows me that the purple line is on top, and that's overall bearish. The last indicator down here is called who's on top. And when it's dark purple, it shows me that purple is on top. When it's light purple, it shows me that the dynamic moving average, DMA, is flat. So it's moving sideways. Likewise with gold, when it's gold, gold is on top. When it's gold, light gold, looks kind of yellow, then it shows me that the DMA is flat. And I'll tell you why that's so important in a little bit. I call these quips and quotes. These are emails that I get from customers and non-customers. One guy trades sunny bands on options. I don't know how he does it, but he says, when it goes purple, I go. It's a sure bet. Price crosses over the lower outer band sometimes, but you wait for a couple of bars within the lower outer band. And you catch it on Friday on options expiration and sell puts, and it's a sure thing. He said, I did it on Tesla too. That's Aaron. Nice bands. This morning I did a couple of quick MES buys and sells. Then I bought into the upward moving ES, which was signaled by the dynamic moving average histogram. I followed it to the top sunny band, closed, sold short at the top, followed it to the bottom, a $4,000 account, which is what he had moved into his futures account, returned about $2,000. Doesn't get any better than that. That's one day. So he did a great set of trades and made $2,000 on a $4,000 account. Aaron again says, I made $57.72 on the first day of my free trial. Now, I do give free trials to Sunny Bands. I have versions available for Master Multi-Charts, TradeStation, and NinjaTrader now. It told me exactly where the turns were, even with the high volatility today. You're one of the very few people that allows test drives. This is nothing short of amazing. Now, if you do want a free trial, you can either chat to me here, email me at sunny@moneymentor, or give me a call. My number is 760-908-3070. I love to take calls from people. So I've been a professional trader since 1981, through the 41% crash of 87, the 38% crash of 2000, 52% crash of 2007 to 8, as well as the 38% COVID crash. So if you don't know how to trade bear markets, you don't know how to trade yet. So you got to learn to trade 3 types of markets: bull, bear, and the one I call chicken. That's sideways. What I trade is the S&P 500 futures contract on 1 and 5 minute charts, and I've been doing it for 42 years. I have long-term stock holdings. Now, to me, long-term means a week or more, because when you trade on 1 and 5 minute charts, a daily chart's a long-term chart. And I do trade a little bit of cryptocurrencies. So today I'm going to show you how I trade short and long-term charts using Sunny Bands and my dynamic moving averages. You can get this stuff for free by signing up for Sunny Side of the Street. You can read all the past Sunny Side of the Street newsletters for free, and there's a subscription for the current version. I explain what my indicators are telling me about the markets, and if you can't find it, it's just give me an email, sunny@moneymentor.com, and I'll help you. And then when I post these slides, you'll be able to click on them. This is what Sunny Side of the Street looks like. I analyze 15 different markets. I also give, you can see kind of at the bottom, I give the free prediction from Vantage Point AI. I put the newsletter out on Sunday nights, and so you get that Monday morning. You can see what the Monday morning projection is from Vantage Point. So just quickly, she told you I was #1 trader twice, and I was using Sunny Bands in my dynamic moving average just to do it. And I'm going to show you that. And there's the #1 ranking. My trading company's Rourke International. I grew up dirt poor in Appalachia. I have 3 degrees in math and a degree in photography. I've been programming for 54 years, 42 years trading. I was a systems programmer for Lockheed for a number of years. And then I, with a couple of friends, founded a company called ISCO, which was the world's leader in computer graphics software. And then I sold out of the company and retired at age 30. So I gave my money to money managers, and they lost $75,000 in 3 weeks. And so I took my money back and said, I can do that poorly on my own. And I taught myself to trade by reading lots of books. Now I've read actually 747 books about trading and investing. And I didn't enter a single trade for the first year. I just watched the market and learned the rhythm. Oh, and I did publish Trader's Catalog and Resource Guide monthly magazine for 8 years as a contribution to the industry. I've written 5 best-selling books. She told you about those. And I did write one for fun with my friend Linda Blair called Going Vegan. And now I'm working on the definitive guide to TradeStation's easy language and OOEL programming with Sam Tennis. And I've written articles for everybody. And here are the covers of my books, so you can see those, so you recognize them when you see them. And I co-wrote Using Easy Language 9.x. Actually, I guess I ghosted it for Murray Ruggiero, who's since passed. And there's the magazine. And here's the new one. I do have customers all over the world. There are more than that now, but I talk on WhatsApp and Zoom all over the world every day. Does anybody know how to make a 6-figure income? Well, let's take, for example, 120 grand a year. And you divide that by 12 months, that's 10 grand a month. So that still seems like a lot. How are you going to make $10,000 in a month trading? Well, if you divide that by 20 trading days, then that's $500 a day. And that seems quite doable. But it's really 5 trades at $100 each. That's all it is. So when you break it down that way, it seems a lot easier to do. And there's usually between $1,000 and $3,500 per day potential in the S&P if you're going both long and short for just one contract. Right now is a really good short trade. So an investor buys and holds for the long term. A trader gets in and out, goes long and short, hoping to get short-term profits. I'm both of these. And I have two different portfolios. Actually, I have more than that, but primarily I use two portfolios, one for futures and one for stocks. So I'm going to break it down, tell you exactly how I trade. And while the next picture looks complex, it's really not. And I use color coding to key me into action. So as you saw the colors of the bars earlier, you can see that I use colors for everything. And I repeat the same colors on every chart so that I know what I'm looking at an instant. So here's the Dow. I'm showing you the Dow because everybody knows the numbers. I mean, you know, when we say the Dow went down 300 points, you know whether that's a large move or a small move. But how do you invest in that? That's just a chart going up and down. So if you put my dynamic moving average on it, the purple and gold lines, you can see better that you should have been short all through here and then long and then short again. And here's some of the equations that went into creating this dynamic moving average. And then you add sunny bands to it. So the purple and gold are still in the middle, but still the dynamic moving average. And then the bands show me exactly where to trade. Here's a long signal. The flat DMA tells me it's only going to go to that level, so I take profits. Go short again to the bottom band, go long again up to the top. It's really quite simple. So here it is with the DMA histogram on it, which I showed you earlier. Gold on top is pointed out by the gold bars moving upward. When they turn red and start moving downward, I know we're ready for a turn. When purple's on top, the purple line shows below the zero line. When it turns green, I know we're stalling. And when it starts moving up like this, then I know we're looking for long trades. Buy and hold versus trading. These yellow dots that you see show the perfect trades, which no one can get consistently. You can't do those over and over and over again. But this indicator shows me where they are, and I print this chart out every night. After 42 years, I still print the charts out every night, and I look at the yellow dots and I compare my own trading to the yellow dots. So did I do as well as the chart said, or am I putting trades all over the place and not doing well? So I look at these yellow dots. They're essentially my research tool. So it's PHW, which stands for potential hourly wage. The potential hourly wage. I created this indicator a long time ago to tell me what was possible on a chart. So I look at every chart that I'm interested in with the PHW dots on it, and there's outputs at the right-hand edge that I can look at that tell me how much potential money is on this chart. And then I divide it by the hours on the chart to tell me how much is my hourly wage. So if you can't make more money than a hourly wage at McDonald's, then you shouldn't be trading. So the dots are at the ideal turning points, not the realistic ones. So we can't be perfect. So I take 60% of the ideal. So the yellow dots show me the ideal, and I calculate the PHW to be 60% of that because I figure you'll probably give away 20% on the entry and 20% on the exit. So you get 60% as a goal. So if you buy at the beginning of a chart and sell at the end, that's buy and hold. And if you do it on that chart of the Dow, you make $27.78, $2,000 by buy and hold on that Dow Jones chart I showed you. But if you trade instead of buy and hold, so you trade the highs and the lows with the PHW being 60% of the ideal, on the same chart, you make $80,000. So instead of 2,000, you make 80,000, 60% of the ideal remind. Remember, it's not the full ideal. So there's quite a difference between trading and investing. So how do you know? How did you know in 1982 to buy Apple and hold it for 40 years? Well, you didn't. So I look at my Sunny Bands indicator and the DMA histogram, and of course the PHW too. And here it is on Ethereum. Sunny Bands, the histogram, who's on top at the bottom, and the PHW yellow dots. So this is a daily chart of Ethereum. And you can see again here, this is the buy signal in the Sunny Bands. This is the sell signal. We've got another buy signal. And if you get a free trial, free 7-day trial, then I do 3 Zoom calls with you. 1 to install the software and 2 more to look at it in the live market and walk you through how I use it. So if you buy and hold on Ethereum, you'd lose $170. Versus if you traded it, you could make $19,000 on the daily chart. Now this doesn't count the intraday charts, but my indicators, Sunny Bands and the histogram, they all work on any symbol on any time frame. So here we have the ES on a daily chart. And here's the ES again on a 30-minute chart. And you can see it still works on both directions. And here it is on a 5-minute chart, which is what I trade. And you can see the nighttime session and the day session. Here's Apple on a 15-minute chart. Once again, you can see the Sunny Bands are calling out the trades, and the histogram is confirming them. Here's Apple on a daily chart, same idea. Buy down here, hold up to here, exit right there. Same thing, Apple, this time on a weekly chart. So if you're trading long-term, I mean investing, then you might want to trade on a weekly chart, and it calls out the trades just exactly the same. So in the same amount of time, if you started at 47 cents in 1981 and bought Apple, and let's say the current price is 149, then the investor would have made 399% in that time, which is 42 years, and that's fantastic. 399% is a great return. But the trader would have made 635%. So day trader, on the other hand, would have made 1,200%, almost 1,300%. So that's why I am both a trader and an investor. So is this possible to do? Well, yes and no. You can't catch all the moves. According to my research, you can only capture about 60% of each move, and that's why I set my PHW to 60%. So the investor, however, must sit through long periods of scary negative markets, whereas the trader is getting in and out, going short and long. So let's look again at the Dow. Since we're all familiar with it, it's reported on the daily news, and we all relate to the numbers on the Dow. So if they say the Dow's down 300 points, you know what that means. If you say the ES is down 28 points, do you know what that means? Even though I've been trading it for 42 years, I don't even relate to 28 points. So in the last few weeks, the Dow's been recovering, and this past week, not this week, but at the time I wrote this, had gained 1,200 points. So the Dow's now only down 9% from its high. So here's the daily Dow. Same indicators. I use these on every chart. Out here at the right, you can see the output from the PHW indicator. It gives the buy and hold value, 2626, the ideal amount of profit, the PHW amount of profit, the ideal number of trades, and the date span on the chart. Here it is on a weekly chart. You can see it even did a great job of catching that little COVID crash right there. So let's look at the Dow Vantage Point software. So it's predictive artificial intelligence software, which I have, and I post it every day on Money Mentor. So you can take a look and see what the projection for tomorrow is. This gives me a perspective of where things are going, whether they're going to end up or down for the day. And I look at the range that they predict, and I know that it's likely to go to the top of that range and the bottom of that range, but I don't know in which order. So it's on moneymentor.com every day. And I do consult it every night before trading the next day when I'm doing my homework. So if you click on this link, it'll take you to their free training. So the YM is the Dow futures contract, and that's what it looks like on a 15-minute chart. It's pretty compressed, but that's a 15-minute chart with the overnight move showing. So let's take a look for a second at standard moving averages. They're quoted in Barron's and Investors Business Daily and the Wall Street Journal and just about everywhere. They talk about the 21-day, the 50-day, and the 200-day moving averages. Now, I find that if you take out the word day and put periods, so the 21 period moving average on a 15-minute chart, a 5-minute chart, a 1-minute chart work wonders. And then I'm going to get down to my bullish bearish stuff. So here they are on the NQ, and they're dotted. You can see the blue dotted one coming up through here. That's the 21. And if you look all the way over to the right, you can see it says greater than 21. And it's in blue because the indicator's blue. The 50 period moving average is less than, so price is less than that one, and greater than the 200, which is dark red. So I once again, at a glance, in color, so I know what I'm looking at really fast. Simple moving averages look like this on a chart, and I'm going to show you these because I relate this to my DMA. So if you look at this, you see back here, whipsaw, here's whipsaw, here's more whipsaw, whipsaw down here. So over and over and over again, simple moving averages take you through periods of hardship. So here they are, all the whipsaw periods. See, all the crossovers. So if I put my DMA on here, we'll see that one. So here's the DMA. And instead of, what was that, 7, I think, crossovers, here we have 4. So the crossovers don't take you, see right through here? They don't cross over. They don't take you through this whipsaw period. Or they don't whipsaw you through that whipsaw sideways period. So the DMA, and why I call it dynamic, is because it calculates its own input links dynamically with every tick of the market. So it's constantly updating its moving average values, which is unlike any other indicator, which has static inputs. Usually we use 9 and 18, and the sunny bands are average true ranges from that dynamic moving average. And it does recalculate with every tick of the market. So here's sunny bands on that same chart, and you can see where it calls out the short trade right here, calls out the long trade over here, short trade up here, and back down again. So here's the daily strategy performance report for the DMA. So that's $90,000 in 2 years, trading one contract. A lot of people ask me, isn't this like Bollinger Bands or Kellner channels? And in a word, the answer is no. Bollinger Bands use a simple moving average, which we saw crosses over in Whipsaw a lot. And he uses standard deviation bands, whereas I use average true ranges. The SMA's simple moving averages produce the worst whipsaw of any moving average. So the next chart will show you Bollinger Bands. And you see how they don't look like sunny bands. They have, this one calls out the short trade right here and the long trade there, but this trade is not clear what to do. Do you get out of your trade? Does it touch the bands? No. So if I use the Bollinger Bands strategy, it shows me the signals, the long and short. And here's a performance report, minus 38, is that $3,800 or 39? And the sunny band signals are different. And you can see in the same, what is that, about a week, it lost 3,800 on the Bollinger Bands and makes 12,000 on the sunny band signals. And here they are together. You can see the difference that the sunny bands don't go way out of bounds like Bollinger Bands do. I have the utmost respect for John Bollinger, don't get me wrong. He's done made a wonderful contribution to this community, and he's a friend of mine, but my work's different than his. So here's the 3 lines, moving average, 21, 50, and 200 I just showed you for bullish and bearish signals. Here's the Dow with the 3 moving averages on it again, and also the sunny bands. So here's a weekly perspective of the YM. Same thing on a weekly chart. And on a 15-minute chart, again, the YM, which is the Dow futures contract. And this calls out right here, long trade, short trade, long trade again. So here's how I personally trade. First thing I do on any chart is I put what I call attractors. Now, attractors are support and resistance, they're moving averages, they're Fibonacci lines, all those kind of things. I call attractors because the price is attracted to them. It hits it over and over. So it's kind of like a reversion to the mean, whereas the mean means the average, but these attractors are hit over and over again. Also, attractors are the open, high, and low of the day. You'll see that the market hits them over and over again. The next thing I put on a chart is sunny bands, which is based again on the DMA. There's 3 moving averages, 50, 21, and 200. So here you can see prices above all 3. And here are attractors on that same chart. So you can see price back here hits this line over and over and over again. So I drew the line right across there. And by golly, look at that. It comes across, and over here, price is once again attracted to it. Likewise, I drew a horizontal line from back here. And again, hits it, hits it, hits it. Same thing with the bottom one. And here we have sunny bands and the moving averages and the attractors all on one chart. And there's the histogram on who's on top. So you can see the short trade down through here gives a sunny band signal, we go long. Here it gives a short signal and I go short, but the DMA is flat, so I'm only going to the DMA. And all these things, when you do a 7-day trial, I go through them with you one at a time, slowly. I record the session so you can look at the recording later and you can learn how I do it. So I don't short stocks. I do short the ES, but I don't short stocks. I buy and hold, and I wait for the sell signal, and then I take profits. So the next chart tells me which stocks are above these 3 moving averages, and whether my DMA is bullish or bearish, and what the potential profit is. So this is radar screen, and over here you can see my PHW indicator, and again the yellow that the dots are in, and I can double click on this column and it sorts them highest to lowest, so I can real quickly see which stocks have the most potential for trading. The 3 moving averages I showed you are in this radar screen, and when they're all green, it means it's above all 3 moving averages. On the next line, it's above the 21, above the 50, and below the 200. So I trade stocks that have all three green. And the DMA is reflected in this radar screen again. You can see all the gold shows this as bullish. The green shows it's bearish. It was moving down, but it's now moving up. And then bullish was moving up, but is now moving down. And that's how I interpret these things. Again, with the same colors. These are the same colors that the histogram is in. And purple, when it shows up, shows me it's bearish moving down. So here's the moving average. There's the DMA. And the other one's the PHW. So first I look for the stocks that are above all three moving averages. And I screen for high performers, those that are bullish. And here's a scanner that I run, shows me which stocks are all over the three averages. So there you run a scan. Now I've started lately running this scan with stocks over all three averages and trading more than $1 million. Yeah, million shares, sorry. So there's Tesla, same thing. Tesla on a daily chart with those four indicators. And you can see here's the long signal with Tesla. We ride it up to here. We got a short signal, but it's not confirmed by price movement, so we don't take it. We just stay with the long and continue to ride it up there. Let's do the same thing for the E-mini. No one trades what we used to call the big boy, the S&P itself. When it was active, I traded 20 contracts at a time starting in 82, and the margin was 50 grand a contract at that time. And now the ES is the E-mini contract of the S&P 500, and its margin is 11,000. And it came into being in 1997, and as soon as it started, I started trading that one. It isn't as recognizable, however, as the Dow is. But it is the most liquid commodity in the world. So I always say, don't buy something you can't sell. So buy something that's really liquid. Here's the ES with the three moving averages and Sunny Bands, PHW, and the DMA histogram. And again, you can see the buy signals here, only up to the flat DMA. Back down and touch the bottom Sunny Band, and we go long. Now here, it's a little bit of a question because it shows me a signal right here on the inner band. That just tells me it's too weak to continue going up at this point. So sure enough, it goes back to the DMA again, which is flat. And then we get another buy signal. Here it is on a 5-minute chart. You can see the overnight session at the far left. It comes down on the red, goes back up on blue, and we're long. And this just goes over and over again. Trading when you're doing it right is boring because you're doing the same thing. You're following your rules over and over and over again, following your rules. And it's following these rules, the discipline of trading, that makes it work. Here's the NASDAQ on a 60-minute chart, shorter term. And you can see, again, the signals here. Ride it up to here. Here's the signal to go short. We got a flat DMA, so we just take profit right there and go long again. I also look at Fibonacci retracements, which I call attractors again. And you can see in these light blue lines over to the right, you can see the Fibonacci extensions. And you can see how price just goes right to those extensions over and over again. So here's my main chart. This is my 5-minute chart. And I also have another indicator on here, these vertical green lines. This is my PHW. I just call it PHW lower, but it shows me how much profit potential there was in each of these trades. So this trade from this yellow dot to this yellow dot is reflected right here. That was a $2,400 possibility. And the current one is $1,000 possible. So you can tell how much is possible at a glance. Here's the 5-minute S&P. We're going long and short, and there are usually 3 to 5 moves during a 6.5-hour trading day. And so if you can get 3 trades at, what is that, 175 each, or 5 trades at 100 each, you make that $120,000 a year. And that's all there is to it. I look at the attractors, I study the DMA histogram and the sunny bands, and I trade the E-mini on 1 and 5-minute charts. I trade 3 to 5 times a day most days, and with equities I buy and hold for weeks to months, sometimes even years. So that's really long term to me. I do have a YouTube channel, and I put little videos up there of how to use my indicators, how to import my indicators into your system. Some days you don't win. That one's kind of funny because lost that day. And how to overlay 2 different time frames on a chart. There's lots of little videos here for you. moneymentor.com, that's my website. And I put, let me show you that. I put my phone number and my email address right there at the top. So if you want to get a hold of me, just give me a buzz. I am in California, so mind the Pacific time, please. Now let's talk about my products for a minute. These were all programmed by me and developed only for use in my own trading. But I do make them available, and I show you exactly how I use them. I don't hold anything back. I don't keep any of the secrets about how I trade. I just tell you everything I do because I like to see people make lots of money. And I train you to use them for free. And I'm my own customer support, so I'm always available by phone or email. And for the next few days, I have bundle discounts available. So you can get 20%, 25%, or 30% off by buying these indicators in a bundle. I do some free stuff, which is posted on my website. I did a 4-week strategy trading forum. All you have to do is become a member of Money Mentor. That's free. And you can download those slides and the videos. And in April, I did a technical analysis forum, again, free for members. In July, I did a 5-week easy language forum with Sam Tennis. And it's not free, but it's sure cheap. And it's available on moneymentor.com as well. And if you want to learn easy language, that's a real fast, cheap way to do it. I offer education and consulting, easy language programming services, mentoring. I love to work with people and do the mentoring. I have a complete bookstore where you can buy only trading and investing books. I do distance learning course, and I sell the indicators I use myself in my own trading. I don't have a bunch of indicators just programmed to sell. These are all ones that I use in my own trading. And on Tuesday mornings, I do a live trading room at 7 a.m. California time. And I do a Sunday night newsletter called Sunny Side of the Street, where I use my indicators to tell you where I think the markets are going next. So as a special offer to this listening audience, bundle offers give up to 30% off. If you want a free 7-day trial, call or email me. Or better yet, just text Sunny Bands to my cell phone to start your free trial. And these slides will be posted on Money Mentor. All you have to do is sign up for the free mentorship, and they will be on the membership page. So just go to moneymentor.com and you'll click on membership, and there you go. This is a little shorter than I had planned, but that's okay. Do we have any questions? Does anybody want to chat? There's no such thing as a stupid question. If you have a question, probably somebody else has it too.
Sunny, you do have a couple of questions there. John was asking, do you find Vantage Point to be as reliable as DMA? Do they run close to the same?
Well, and where is the chat? I've got something.
Open up the questions pane.
Questions.
Usually what I'll do when I open up the questions pane, I will make it pop out. There's a little arrow on the right-hand side that points to the left, and you can pop it out so you can see it. And then I click on the received so that the most recent one is at the top.
Sharing webcam audio attendee.
No, in the little go to webinar control panel where you can see sharing webcam audio dash, you want to go down to questions.
Well, I'm afraid I don't see it, Sherry.
All right, hold on one second. It'll be
Sharing.
right under polls. Do you see polls
I see
under attendees?
sharing webcam audio attendees.
Okay, just a minute.
Maybe you can
You know
read
what?
it.
Here you go. Here you go. Sorry about that. Do you see polls, handouts, questions now?
Now I have it.
All right.
So
Sorry about that.
that's okay. Thank you very much.
So then click on the received column if you popped it out, and you'll be able to see the most recent down to the oldest. And at 11:40, John said, Sunny, do you find Vantage Point to be as reliable DMA? Do they run close to the same?
Okay,
As
that's
reliable as DMA, I'm thinking.
Yeah. The DMA I use for intraday trading, and the Vantage Point prediction is only for daily trading. So Vantage Point gives a projection for tomorrow, but it does not give any intraday information at all. So I use my DMA for trading, and I use Vantage Point the night before to look at where they think the market might be going. What's the next one? Let's see. We've changed clocks. Do you find that? Okay, here we go. Which platforms do your indicators work on? They work on TradeStation, multi-charts, and Sunnybands works on NinjaTrader now. I'm sorry you said you do not use options, but have you ever? Yes, I certainly have ever. And I found out that I could call the exact direction of the market and still lose money on options. So I quit trading options because I don't like to lose money. Does the VI Vantage Point predicted range run similar to your yellow dots for the day? The Vantage Point chart that I put up on Money Mentor, I show you what their projections have been and where the actual market went, and it really doesn't relate to the PHW dots at all. Okay, I guess that's it for the questions there. Thank you so much, Sherry. And Dan.
Well, I really appreciate you being with us for sure. Hey, Sunny.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell everybody how you got into trading in the first place? I mean, we kind of covered it at the beginning, but I mean, like the thought process and why it became viable for you as a career.
Well, after I retired, I had a whole lot of money, and I gave it to my stockbroker and money managers to manage. My stockbroker did a great job for me. Except that he and I disagreed about the crash of '87. He had said to me, I said, take all my money out in August of '87. I said, sell everything. And he said, no, this is the greatest bull run in history. And I said, let me show you my charts. I'd been keeping charts by hand. I'd go down to Denny's every morning, walk down the street, and sit there with Investors Business Daily and plot charts by hand. So, I mean, this is before there were computers to do it for us. And I showed him my charts, and he said, oh, that doesn't mean anything. Charts are nothing. And I said, well, it's my money, so sell everything. And so we did. And then the market crashed, and it crashed 105 points on Friday afternoon and 506 on Monday morning. And Tuesday morning, I called him back and said, buy everything you can get your hands on. That really wasn't the start though, because I was already trading by that time, although long term, and it was, well, I guess it was swing trading, but on a longer term basis. The first impetus I got was when I gave my money to a futures trader, a lot of money, and he lost $75,000 in 3 weeks. And I thought, I'll never trade futures. And I took the money back from him, and I thought, well, I can do this poorly on my own.
I got a real giggle out of that. I can do this
Yeah,
bad on my own. It was like,
I can
that's
do it.
not funny, but yeah,
But yeah, yeah. So that's when I started trading, was when I realized I could do that bad on my own.
that's awesome. So if you hadn't been a trader, what would you be? And you said you had retired, so you were like going to just chill
Yeah.
out and travel
Well,
maybe, huh?
I did travel. I've traveled all over the world. Travel and photography are my fun things in life. So next on my list, I haven't gone to Greece yet. So Greece is on my list, and New Guinea.
Greece is my secret desire to live.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so George wants to know, can you use this on Thinkorswim?
No, it works on TradeStation, Multicharts, and NinjaTrader.
All right. And then you put up a link for free training. Oh, I wanted you to put up the link for the is it VAISP or something like that?
VAI.
Where they have the name
Where
at
they
the
have
end of it. Is
where they
that the
have
one you wanted, John? I mean, Jiang? Free, that's the free training link right there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of waiting for him to answer that this is what he was looking for. But there was also one that you mentioned that there was a link to a website where they had training, but your name
Oh,
is at the
for Vantage Point.
Vantage. Yeah.
Let's see if we can get
Yeah.
back
And what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy it and put it right in the chat for them.
there. Okay, there. Let's see. Is that the one? No, it's pretty far back, I think. We'll just keep pressing the arrow till we get there.
Oh, free training and newsletter. So we'll get to that one more time before we let you go.
Okay. Well, I don't know, Sherry. That's about halfway back already. It's on my website. All you have to do is look on moneymentor.com.
Okay.
I can't find it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's on moneymentor.com. That's good. And then the free training and your newsletter is what I think Jiang was looking for.
And
Jiang, I hope I'm saying your name right.
if you just go to moneymentor.com.
I just put the link in the chat. See, there's a
Yeah.
chat and a question, but the chat is really outgoing. Questions are for incoming.
Okay. So moneymentor.com.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go there right now, if I can spell it. Moneymentor.com. So if you go over to the menus, the pull down menus, if you go to membership, you can join us or log in if you're already a member. If you go to products and services, you'll see the live trading room, the podcasts that I do, the easy language forum. If you go to books and articles, you'll see Sunny Side of the Street, and that's the newsletter. But everything comes through the membership. And if you scroll down on the homepage, you can see, scroll down like 3 rows of the mouse, and you can see the Vantage Point prediction and the link to Vantage Point software. It's all right there on the homepage.
Perfect.
All you have to do is scroll down.
Perfect. Perfect.
You ready?
All right.
I think we've got it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming in, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And I really do appreciate you coming in early because it's just now like 7, 8 o'clock there, right? 9, almost
Yeah,
9.
it's almost 9. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I
All right.
appreciate that.
So much.
I've
Absolutely.
edited my stuff so I can tell what time zone people are in, so I can pay more attention and be more sensitive to whether they're in the middle of the night or up too early.
Yeah. If you go down on your Windows, if you go down to the search bar and type clock, you can get times all over the world.
Okay, cool.
That's that's
All
what I
right.
do. So I know when I'm calling Nigeria what time it is.
Okay, there you go. I have Time Buddy put on my calendar, but I don't keep the calendar up full time.
Oh yeah, yeah. All
All
right. Thank
right. Well, you have a wonderful day. I thank you very much.
you too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye now. All right. That was Sunny Harris with moneymentor.com. And you guys need to go and take a look at the website, get in on her free membership, and just, I mean, this is some dynamic advice that you won't be finding a lot of the time with people who are new in the industry. So we really appreciate Sunny coming and contributing to our event, and definitely have a look at what she's got there. So